Hello, thank you for joining us today. On behalf of the Bitwise and Talend teams, I'd like to welcome you to our webinar, Converting PL SQL Code to Talend Has Never Been Easier. Whether you are currently using Talend or are considering the tool for your data integration needs, we aim to show you how to derive the most value from your PL SQL modernization efforts. My name is Nathan Nichols, and joining me today are Cameron Steele, Corporate Account Manager at Talend, and Shahab Kamal, EVP of Customer Success and Solution Engineering here at Bitwise. Before I pass things over to Cameron and Shahab, who will be talking about the strategic importance of data integration and the value that Talend provides, followed by discussion and demo on an automated approach to replicating the flow of PL SQL packages in Talend, let me first provide a quick introduction to Bitwise. Bitwise, a data management company, uses over 20 years of enterprise data management experience to help bridge gaps between traditional EDW and cutting-edge technologies, including big data tools. We help organizations meet their enterprise reporting, analytics, and visualization requirements by providing complete end-to-end services for EDW and BI, big data and cloud, digital applications, and QA testing. What truly sets Bitwise apart is not just our 20 years of experience helping leading Fortune 1000 companies solve their most pressing data challenges, but our technology leadership in developing unique tools and methodologies that accelerate complex processes such as PL SQL conversion. Just as a reminder, we will open things up for an interactive Q&A at the end of the session. Feel free to send your questions via the question feature at any time during the webinar. We will do our best to answer all questions, but as always, you can contact us at any time at sales@bitwiseglobal.com. And with that, I'd like to pass things over to Cameron. Cameron?
Hi, Nathan. Thank you. So today I wanted to talk about how Talend is helping companies with our data agility messaging to be more data-driven. The history of Talend, we started in 2006 really focusing on data integration, but through the coming of time we've had a focus on data quality, application integration, Hadoop, cloud, and now more moving into self-service. And that messaging and that focus has really resonated with the market. If you look at Gartner in their 2017 report, we are actually the only vendor in the leaders quadrant to actually move up. There, you'll see there's a number of other larger gorillas in the space, but we're actually the only one to move up into the 2017 ranking from 2016. The other platform that has saw us in the leaders quadrant was Forrester, and notice that we are the only vendor in the leader space that has less than $1 billion in revenue. And in 2016, we were the only vendor to move into that space and no one had moved in there in 5 years. So what I wanted to do is kind of focus on what Talend is doing differently. And so previously, the ELT in legacy ETL, you saw more of the relational database processing taking place. But now, as we've moved forward into today, there's more and more sources and targets with vast quantities of data being moved, and there's requirements around real time and self-service, machine learning, as well as data governance. With, like I was talking about, we have our Hadoop infrastructure and cloud infrastructure, all supporting the enterprise. And what's becoming more and more common is a hybrid architecture. You'll see an on-premise infrastructure, but also an Amazon Web Services and Google Cloud, as well as Microsoft Azure, all of which are partners of Talend. And how Talend is really tackling this is with our data fabric. What Talend's data fabric is a unified platform, and that unified platform allows Talend to be completely scalable And what that means is that whether it is you're trying to just build simple data integration jobs or on a relational database configuration, or you have more of a cloud strategy, you're moving more into Hadoop, or you're going to do data quality, as well as master data management, metadata management, it's all going to be off of the same studio. So you don't have to keep learning new technologies for the new use cases that are coming up. This is different than legacy vendors like your Oracles or your Informaticas, where each use case has a different set of expertise that is necessary for building out those, like I was talking about, the data quality or the metadata management, master data management. And one of the other key differentiators is that Talend is native. We are able to generate native code for whatever infrastructure that you're looking to build off of it, be it for Spark or MapReduced or Java. And the other key differentiator is that we're open source. Our open source version is over 3,500 downloads, and that's how we stay on top of what the new, whatever new technologies are going to be prominent in the market. So to go into what our data fabric is, excuse me, a data fabric is a composition of all of these tools seen here. Big data integration, cloud integration, master data management, they're all put together under one studio that allows you to solve all of your data needs and become data driven. So with that being said, I wanted to transition over to Shahab, and he can discuss how companies are making that migration from these legacy vendors to Talend with Bitwise, who's one of our key partners in this initiative.
Thank you. So thank you for the introduction to Talend and all the great features that it brings to the table. And that's in itself such a great reason to migrate, because as the technology has advanced, it's so much easier to write ETL code, to manage the code, and then to look at the data lineage features, some of the master data management features. Talend enables so much. But then let's go back to the folks who are currently maintaining PL/SQL code, even not just PL/SQL, even T-SQL, Microsoft T-SQL packages on SQL Server, or PL/SQL packages on Oracle databases, and how laborious it is to maintain that code. How difficult it is to get any kind of lineage out of that code. How difficult it is to look at how that code and the data is interacting with other outside applications. Auditing, logging, all these different features are absolutely absent in PL/SQL or T-SQL. So these are all very powerful reasons. In addition to maintenance, these are all other powerful reasons to migrate to something like Talend, where this is so much easy to do, and it exposes so many new features, which lets you, use your data movement product in such great ways. So that's really truly the reason here why we are looking at so many customers looking to migrate out of their legacy PL/SQL and T-SQL packages and stored procedures into something like Talend. So that said, it's a good thought going to something like Talend. How do you do that? Now, you might have years and years worth of legacy code that was built in your stored procedures. And there must be some, because it's procedural language, there could be so much convoluted code that a programmer built 10 years ago who is no longer with your organization. What would it take for you to go in to reverse engineer all that code, understanding what was the business reason behind building that convoluted and complicated code, revisualize that in a non-procedural flow that Talend would follow, understand it, and map it into a source to target mapping environment that every ETL product follows, and then build that in Talend. And that's where we have all these great features waiting for us available in Talend, but to put all this code over there, it's not going to be easy. It's difficult to do, it is time consuming, and it is prone to errors because you might have a developer manually looking at a PL SQL stored procedure, looking at going through all the code and trying to figure out what the original developer was thinking about, and then try to figure it out and build a similar flow in Talend. What if that understanding was incorrect? So even though you build correct code in Talend, it was with an incorrect understanding and the outcome would be different. So all of these are the common risks and challenges that you would come across if you're looking to transition from a PL SQL stored procedure kind of environment into Talend. So how do we solve for that? So we have automated this conversion. Now, automation sounds like a great idea, that okay, there's just a black box, press a button, it is done. It is not that simple, and in the subsequent slides I will walk you through what the procedure and the process entails. But the important part here is the conversion is happening through some machine learning process. What that enables is it takes out that human that possibility of human error, where someone understood the PL SQL code in a certain way and coded it in a certain way. Well, that possibility of error in that particular transition is taken away because it's now understood by a machine learning environment who understands the code in one common way, no matter how you wrote those constructs in PL SQL or T-SQL, and brings it into Talend in one common fashion. So that error in understanding of your source code is taken away. It also takes away the human error where someone who was coding this manually might have a typo and misrepresent a target field by some underscore or a decimal point. This again will produce erroneous results in the target environment. So it takes away all these issues that can occur, which makes testing a big nightmare if it is done manually. It takes away that issue as well. So with that, let me explain to you, and this is a follow-up to a previous webinar a couple of weeks ago, where we talked about converting any ETL to Talend. So if you have an ETL product, some legacy ETL product, I want to bring that to Talend. This was the architecture we talked about of how do we go about taking you from a legacy ETL product into Talend with automation. And I will just, for the benefit of those who have not seen that other webinar, I'll walk through this architecture because part of this architecture is actually used in the PL SQL conversion. So in the ETL conversion scenario, what do? We have adoption plugins built in to most ETL products currently in the market, which will read the ETLs from the legacy ETL product, understand the flow, convert it into a flat XML format, and brings it into the hub of our ETL converter. What you see in the center with those little wheels called the ETL conversion core. So these plugins will read your ETL from any other ETL product and bring it to this core. Inside the hub, what's called the core on this diagram, are mapping tables, which will further analyze the source product ETLs and map them to the best possible scenario, the best possible feature in Talend. And then there's a generation plugin, which then looks at these mapped artifacts and then constructs the Talend ETL in an XML format. This XML, the Talend XML then can be finally imported into Talend, and you have the ETL sitting in Talend. So what this does is reads the source ETL, brings it into the core, does its optimization and best possible fit scenarios against Talend, and then generates the Talend ETL from there. We have reused part of this. What we have done is we have treated PL/SQL and T-SQL stored packages as any other ETL. And briefly, I'll show you how we have been able to map the PL/SQL and T-SQL code and created an adoption plugin for PL/SQL and T-SQL code, and that feeds the ETL in an XML format to the core. And then from that point forward, it's a mapping document that goes into the core. Talend, our adoption, our code looks at that mapping document as a source to target mapper and utilizes the best possible Talend feature and maps it into that Talend feature. And then from that point forward, the generation plugin just generates the Talend code from there. So the right-hand side and the center, the core, have been reused. What we feed to the hub of our architecture is a mapping document which is generated from the PL/SQL and T-SQL stored procedures. So in the next slide, let's look at what happens over here. So what we have done here is the PL/SQL, there are two steps here. We have built a PL/SQL analyzer, which is the adoption plugin that you saw on the previous slide for any other ETL product. What this does is it reads your PL/SQL and T-SQL code and creates a visual diagram for the flow, kind of creates a flow chart for that code. It's very visual, and irrespective of any conversion, that itself is a huge benefit, because you're able to actually visualize how the code flows from source to target. The entire construct of that code is in front of you in a visual format. That can be saved in an Excel mapping document. It does its mapping of source to target metadata and what the transforms are based on this visual flow, and creates a source to target mapping document, which takes all the source field that the PL/SQL, the stored procedure was reading, and all the transforms it was performing is in the transforms field of the mapping document, and the target fields where it is being loaded. This is then fed into our what's called the core, the hub of our architecture, which does the mapping from this mapping document into the proper Talend features, components, and functions, and does the optimization over there, and then the target adoption, which creates the XML for Talend, constructs the ETL XML for Talend, and the final step is we import that into Talend, and you have a functioning ETL in Talend that's equivalent of the stored procedure you had as the starting point. Before we go into a quick demo, let's talk about our conversion approach. So like I said, we don't come in with a black box and a magic silver bullet. The first phase for us is always we do a feasibility analysis. We look at all the PL/SQL code. Now, we claim that we can convert PL/SQL code given that it was a structured PL/SQL code. You can only stitch together a structured Talend flow if it is mapping into a structured PL/SQL code. What if a PL/SQL programmer used go-to statements, which is jumping through the program from different locations? That would never be, no one can ever map that into a Talend ETL flow, because there are no jumps in Talend or any other structured ETL product out there. So we just want to make sure that we do a feasibility analysis. We have some analyzer that parse through the SQL code, and we figure out as a first step that is this code even conducive for any kind of automation. Most places they are. We have very rarely come across a location or any customer where it was not properly written, but we are able to figure that out upfront, so that we give clear idea upfront to the customer that this is the kind of automation that you will be able to achieve. And this is even before we start the project, we are able to very accurately predict the kind of automation that can be achieved with the code base that is existing at a customer base. Our approximate savings that's that's mentioned below is about 60% of code savings that's available. Then we do the phase 1 conversion, where we do a small population of the code is converted to prove the concept that the automation works on your particular code, and then we go into the actual conversion process where the entire code is converted. So that's our approach at Bitwise as we engage to a customer. We don't come with a blank promise. We actually look at your code, do some analysis, give you the results, give you a roadmap for conversion, and then we stick to it in the actual execution phase. So I know I have piqued the interest on how all of this works. Let's look at it in practice. So here's a sample PL SQL code that most of you, if you have done this kind of coding, must be familiar with. This is then fed into, and here we are reading it into our first phase, what I call the mapper. So you are opening that code in the mapper. So that code we just saw, that file, we're just putting in that file name right here. And this is the location for the package. We also import the schema for that particular package from the database. So that is also automated. And here we go. Let's open the SQL package. And as you see in the drop-down, we are currently compatible to T-SQL as well as PL SQL stored procedures and packages. And that's drilling down to the actual code level for the package. And as we select that package, there you go. It's mapping that package into an actual flow diagram. Tells you what every step is in that particular SQL package. And this in itself is such a great value to anyone who is maintaining PL SQL packages in their organization. Here is an automatic way just to document your PL SQL stored price. No matter if you don't convert, right there you can just use this to document the flow of code, flow of the data in your PL SQL package, and that itself is of tremendous value to anyone who's currently using it. No matter if you choose to convert or not, but that itself will be of great value. The next step here is this flow actually is not just a visual boxes. Every single box has all the metadata, the source and target field names, the actual transforms, any kind of code that you see in the bottom over there, in the bottom window over there. All of that is also sitting behind that flow. So you can just click on every single piece of that flow and you will see what's the metadata that is being transferred and what's the code. And then it can be saved into this Excel sheet, which is a map which serves as a source to target mapping document for that particular package. It also has, and this is where another advantage is, before we feed into this converter, which is what we are right now for the in the interest of time, feeding into the converter, which is the hub of our product, when I will take that mapping document and map it to Talend, different features in Talend, and give you Talend code out of that, optimized Talend code. But in the spreadsheet itself, the mapping documents, you have the opportunity to go in and manually and visually look at that and see if there's any other optimization you can put it on your own, which we normally do ourselves. But that's a tremendous opportunity to look at that automatically created mapping sheet, and there could be some repetitive processes that can be removed. So all of that can be done at that mapping document phase. And then right here overseas, that mapping document was fed into an ETL converter, which absolutely gives you Talend code. And here's your Talend code for that particular stored procedure. So this is how with automation, we've brought in your stored package, stored procedure into Talend. It's not just bringing in the high-level, you know, containers and putting your actual SQL from the stored procedure over here. It is converting those, what the SQL was performing, into actual Talend components. So you're not executing the same SQL in a Talend container. You are actually leveraging the processing that is brought to bear by using Talend. So it's not just taking the SQL package and the SQL behind it and executing in Talend. You are converting that into an actual Talend flow, as you can see over here. So with that, this is the way we do this. This is how it all works, and a quick demo about that. With that, I'll hand it back to Nathan.
Great. Thanks, Shahab. And thanks, Cameron, and everyone else for joining today. We've got some good questions coming in, but first, just as a quick reminder, you can contact us at any time at sales@bitwiseglobal.com if we don't get to your questions. And as always, you can contact us and stay up to date on our website at bitwiseglobal.com.